Hello everyone, this is Rochelle and you are joining us here on Living in Beautiful Chaos. Today we are going to be making a Mexican lasagna. This is a recipe that I have been making for, several years now. I found it on amandascookin.com. So we are going to be browning a pound of ground beef and 1 medium diced yellow onion. You want to cook it so that, the onions are kind of almost see-through. They're kind of soft, and obviously your beef is all the way cooked. That is one thing. You definitely want to make sure you're not undercooking it. This lasagna, by the time you build it, is fully cooked, and it's really just more about going in the oven to melt the cheese and make everything nice and warm. So make sure you're draining the fat. You return your pan to the burner. You're going to add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, a 1/4 cup of taco seasoning. I do make my own taco seasoning, so if that's something that you guys are interested in, I could definitely make a video on that for you. You're also going to be adding a 1/2 cup of water, a 14.5 ounce can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, 4 ounces of green chilies, 15 ounces of black beans. I always make sure I drain and rinse them off. You are going to need 18 corn tortillas and 6 cups of shredded Jack and cheddar cheese. I always forgot to put them on, but the recipe also says that you can do a medium tomato diced up and a bunch of green onions kind of as a garnish. Now, typically you would preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Usually I'll use like a 19x3 casserole dish. I will use aluminum sometimes if it's something that I'm going to be putting in the fridge if it's not being cooked right away, or if I'm going to be freezing it to use later, just because I bake with a lot of glass. And if you take glass that's cold and you stick it in a hot oven, you have a good chance that your glass could break, and I just don't want to take that chance. So once everything is cooked all the way through, you're going to start layering. You're going to put a layer of 6 tortillas on the bottom. You're going to put 1/3 of the meat, 1/3 of the cheese. You do the same thing for the next 2 layers. And then I have an aluminum top, or you can put aluminum foil over the top of it. Typically you'd bake it for, I usually find about 30 minutes works. The recipe does say 30 to 40 minutes. Until the casserole is kind of bubbly, the cheese is completely melted. And that's when, if you wanted to garnish it with diced tomatoes, green onion, sour cream, that kind of thing, that would be when you would want to do that. Now, this is where things did not quite go the way I thought they were going to. Unfortunately, when I went to bake this Mexican lasagna, my oven would not work. I actually ended up being for a week without an oven. So what I decided to do in the meantime was take out one of my roaster ovens. I heated it up at 350 degrees. I baked it in the roaster oven for about 40 minutes, 45. It was a bit longer than it would typically be in the oven. And that's how we ended up with dinner.